Now we are ready for Group B, and it is Tom Cousins, the two-time world champion, who's going to get us underway up against Jimmy Croxton. Jimmy Croxton is the seed from this match. Joining me in the commentary box for this one will be six-time world champion Nick Hill. And a massive opening break from Tom, but it's dry.
Yeah, Tom's known in our game of 8-ball of obviously having such a great break in terms of the timing and the control. As we've alluded to on many occasions, though, it doesn't mean that you're going to make a ball from it.
You just have to believe that it's going to go in your favour more often than not. It's an intriguing matchup, this one. Jimmy Croxton is the seeded player. I think he's ranked 11th in the rankings, but it's Tom Cousins comes in with a CV, 2 times a world champion, making his debut in the pro events, has played in the pairs.
And I think it's quite interesting, even though we've obviously had a fantastic group of players join the pro ranks from last season. The way that the newcomers are drawn has gone. There wouldn't be that many matches, I would think, where the unseeded player, shall we say, is the favourite. And I think it would be fair to say that Tom Cousin does start the match favourite. That's not to say that Jimmy's not capable of winning; he certainly is. But I think most people would have Tom starting favourite for the match.
Yeah, I think most people would probably have Tom as the slight favourite for the group, with Carl Morris playing Emma Gunningham following this, and then 2 winners will play each other. But I have to say, Tom Cousins' first event in an individual event with Ultimate Pool as an Ultimate Pool professional. So he misses his opening pot to the top left, and when he played in the pairs a couple of weeks ago, he was very nervous and didn't play his best stuff. So I think it's important start to the match here for Tom. If he can get off to a decent enough start and find his rhythm and form and get going, I expect him to play at a very high level.
Yeah, and I think kind of finding your feet out there in that arena is obviously a big thing as well. Jimmy would be much more at home with that in terms of not only playing matches out there, but of course he's one of the resident pros at the club. So he would also be, very familiar in that aspect as well.
Cannon didn't work out from this time, not on either of the yellows at the bottom of the table. So has a yellow at the top, which is a tough enough pot, but getting position from it is very, very difficult. Awkward position here for Jimmy Croxton.
Yeah, I'd be very tempted just to push this underneath the other yellow and draw the cue ball back to the corner of where he's standing. Just kind of bide his time a little bit here. Yeah, that's the shot I like. I think
played it really, really well, hasn't he? Welded the cue ball to the red.
It's a good choice of shot, and not only that, it's the first frame, so he doesn't want to commit to anything and leave Tom, a tap-in finish, so to speak. So well spotted from Jimmy's perspective, and obviously well executed.
So this must be touching ball.
Oh wow, he's had a mare there, Jimmy. That being touching ball.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
So with it being touching ball, it means he can just play away, and he's deemed to have hit his red, which means he can just play the yellow straight and take it off the table.
Yeah, he really didn't deserve that, did he, after such a good shot that he played?
I said he welded it to it, but he absolutely welded it to it.
He doesn't want to weld this one, otherwise it'll be the same shot again.
He may well have done,
Yeah, that's an odd situation that we get from time to time, isn't it, in the international pool rules, where you're touching ball and you're playing directly at your opponent's ball to move it off the table.
This time he isn't touching, so he just plays away. Would like the cue ball to have stopped on the cushion behind that red.
Yeah, it wasn't the best shot Tom's ever executed. Especially if he can cut it in.
Well, he could cut it in, but where's the cue ball? He's okay.
And he's kind of natural again here, isn't he, really? It's not an easy pot.
It wasn't the easiest shot that Tom Cousins, played, but he'll be disappointed to leave that cut on. That was the absolute minimum he had to avoid leaving.
It's there. Anything but hampered queuing. That's perfect.
No mistakes with the 8-ball, so Jimmy Croxton does manage to get that first frame on the board. A couple of tactical shots required, but excellent cut to the corner. And no mistakes with the rest of his work, and he is up and running. And Tom's had a little bit of table time in that frame and hasn't really got going yet. Quick look at Jimmy's profile while the balls are being racked up. And you see he's ranked 17 for the 2021 season. Best performances for a couple of quarterfinals, and actually best performances came late in the season in the last 2 pro events. So he's finding his best form at the end of the year. And he'll be disappointed not to make the top 16. I think as a season as a whole, I think he'll be disappointed not to have gone deeper than quarterfinals as well. He has put together a handful of brilliant performances throughout the year, some really eye-catching performances, but then hasn't been able to put together the run to go with it. Well, just like Tom Cousins before him, he comes up dry.
Yeah, they didn't really open at all, did they, actually, around the 8-ball.
He had the cue ball jumping quite a bit of air time as it hit the pack.
So Tom's got the cut back on the red into the centre, or potentially playing off one red and potting the other one as he's lining up now. And by doing that, sending the red that he's hitting to open up the other red. Like that. Very, very nice shot.
There was a lot going on in that shot.
Yeah, but the pace that he played it at was, very controlled and classy. He's a really good shot maker, Tom Cousins, but he does it with a lot of control. He's not what you'd call your flamboyant shot maker. He's a very, very controlled shot maker.
Judged the pace of that one really nicely.
Yeah.
In and out of the bulk end of the table.
I really like Tom's game. I think he's a super player. I think he'd be a great player in any era of the game that we've had.
Yeah, 2 times a world champion, back-to-back, 2013, 2014.
When he come to the table here, these wasn't easy, and he's controlled not only the cue ball nicely, but he's controlled the object balls nicely as well at the same time.
Yeah, I think you're right as well. A lot gets talked about Tom Cousins and his massive break, which he really does have a big break, but you can't take anything away from the way he plays after the break. You don't win world titles just by breaking alone.
Oh no, he's I can be a harsh judge at times, and I don't always mean to, but no, where something like Tom Cousins is concerned, he's what I would call a great player.
So finishing touches required here for the first clearance off the break in this match, and to tie the scores up. Natural angle here. And Tom Cousins is up and running, and we are all square at 1 frame all. Lovely reverse clearance in that frame following the dry break from Jimmy Croxton. Well, we saw Jimmy's profile. Let's take a quick look at Tom Cousins' profile. And you'll see what we've been talking about in terms of the World Championships. Twice a world champion. Also won on the Supreme Series, multiple Pro Tour wins. New pro for 2022. So this is effectively his first professional event. with Ultimate Pool, and it's going to be interesting actually in 2022 to see the new professionals like Tom, how they adapt and how they come through the rankings, because they're going to start at the bottom and have to work their way through.
Yeah, well, I can assure you it's the last time that you'll see Tom Cousins not being ranked anyway.
Yeah,
write that one down.
only a matter of time before he flies up the rankings. He's that good a player.
Yeah, maybe to the top of them.
He's certainly capable. He's certainly in that conversation of the best players in the world. Now, we talked about his break. Let's have another look at it. We're giving it the big build-up. He's
last ball rolling.
I was about to say he's gone dry 2 for 2, but last ball rolling and
considering he breaks so well, that was one of his probably weaker efforts, wasn't it?
yeah,
to be fair,
caught the front ball almost 3/4 ball, didn't he? The cue ball was flying to the right-hand side.
You know, I think for most would say, he's hit them okay and he's broke up, but I think because we know Tom breaks so well, you know, he doesn't get given as much leeway as some of the others.
But
Okay.
he'd be happy with a split that he's been
Yeah,
presented with, though.
yeah.
Sometimes it's amazing. You catch them perfectly and you don't get a ball and you don't get a split.
Yeah.
This time he doesn't catch them perfectly and he'll take this every single time.
Yeah, it's basically left centre, then come down for the one bottom right and just leave yourself the gap long for the one top right. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, he could play the one over the pocket as well. In moving that yellow, it would suggest that he's given himself the option to play the one top left or top right.
Just saw a glimpse in the crowd there of one of the other new professionals, Arfan Dad. We'll be seeing him later on.
Yeah. Big case for being Keithley's #1 at the moment.
Yeah, mention that because that's where Chris Melling's from as well.
Oh, is it?
Chris Melling we'll see later on in the week.
Okay, so he did elect top right, as we said in that instance.
And a very nice break clearance. So having lost the opening frame, he's responded with back-to-back clearances from the break, and he is very much up and running. And having had a quick chat with him before he got underway today, I think that will really help him because he was feeling a little bit nervous. I think it's, as a new Ultimate Pool professional, I think he just wanted to get out there and find his feet, and I think 2 finishes from the break, he should be just into the match now.
Well, he's obviously got such you know, such a big reputation and everything that he's achieved, and you know, he's coming into this and everybody's expecting big things, and you know, and it's not easy. It's not easy to get out there and have everybody expecting him to win and everything else, because primarily you've got to go out there and do it, and you're entitled to be nervous and you're entitled to be a bit anxious and expectation on yourself, you know.
I think that's the word, is the expectation. I think he came in to Ultimate Pool with such a big expectation with those 2 world titles and with everything he's achieved in the game. I think the external pressure and the internal pressure he puts on himself, I think it's only natural to be nervous. Now it's Jimmy Croxton's turn to respond to going behind for the first time. Oh, cue ball very close to the centre pocket.
Oh wow, last ball rolling again this side. I wonder if this yellow just hops out the middle here. No, it didn't. But watch how this yellow comes back across here now. Look.
Yeah, it's
look at this.
I was waiting for a ball to go across, and
wow.
there it is.
Wow.
So he nearly pots the cue ball. Fortunate to keep that on the table, and then last ball rolling drops in. But importantly for Jimmy Croxton, he has made a ball, and he has an opportunity to respond.
Wonderful.
And a pretty good opportunity as well. I have to say, these are laid out really, really nicely.
Besides the 8, if he goes yellows, he could go reds. Could put the red into the centre because the yellow's making it a big pocket.
The only question mark for me with the reds, because I immediately, it's amazing how everyone sees it differently. My first thought was reds because of the 8 ball, but I'm assuming the red nearest the right centre pocket actually goes.
Yeah, but if he'd have played on the one over the pocket there, he could have played the one he's hitting now off the off the yellow into the middle and opened that red.
Yeah, so if that red doesn't go, that's definitely a potential trick missed from Jimmy Croxton.
Do you know what I mean?
We'll find out if it goes in a minute, because he'll either move into it or he'll play on it.
Yeah, now he's kind of got a. I think he can just. He's coming off the cushion to hit it. I didn't like going that way. I think he would have been better going straight into the red and popping it into the yellow over the middle. Because if he makes the one over the middle, it clears the pocket anyway.
But definitely, when you go to the visit as a whole, the shot that you talked about, and using one of the ones at the top of the table just to open up the pocket delicately was a fairly comfortable shot. If he plays on it, he just didn't see it.
In all fairness to him, you know, having played out there and obviously commentated in here, I find I can see a lot more going on in here than what I can out there.
It's why I'm firmly camped in the commentary box.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's nice in here. But yeah, you just seem to be able to visualise things and see things a bit more in here than what you do out there.
Left himself in a really awkward position here. This pot does go, but landing on the next ball, almost impossible, and he hasn't managed to do so. So he's potted himself into a world of trouble. Jimmy Croxton is a big-time shot maker, and he's going to have to pull one out here. And not this time. Hands the table over to Tom Cousins with a really nice layout on the yellows. The red even goes onto the cushion for good measure. Tom just trying to work out which order he wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, he could play the one he was nearest to as well if he wanted to. I mean, he could pretty much do what he likes.
It's still important, though, is that too many players in this situation, as you go down the ranks, will just think this is really easy and just start potting balls. You've still got to plot that route to make it nice and simple, even when there's no reds in the way.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I didn't really know what he was exactly achieving by playing the one he's just played, because if he pots the two that he's nearest to now and then the one he's just played, he's got the one sat over the middle on its own and just drops it in for the 8. So I don't know exactly what he achieved by playing that, but you know, Tom's obviously such a good player that, you know, at this level, you know, you can do what you want. You can do what you want with 4 to go. Do you know what I mean? There, it's.
Yeah, you can recover. You don't have to pick the perfect pattern.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure you pick your route, which he has done nicely enough. Opens up a 2-frame lead for the first time, 3-1 in front. And Jimmy's going to be very frustrated with that one. The 2 before he couldn't do anything about because they were clearances from the break. But this time he very much had an opportunity to win the frame, and they were laid out nicely enough for him. But this is the cannon that goes wrong.
Yeah, well, it went wrong from the first shot, in all fairness, didn't it? From an observation perspective as opposed to shot selection, you feel.
Yeah, didn't see the shot to break out the only half bad ball on the table. You'd like to have seen that cannon played a bit fuller, to have a bit more of a fuller contact to pop it open rather than the contact he got.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, sometimes we don't always get the true angle, and if the angle was a little bit straighter than just being able to hop it across and hit it full, who exactly knows? I mean, the players get the best view of everyone, of course, in terms of what angle they've gotten. Last ball rotten, you are kidding. Wow.
Certainly teasing Jimmy Croxton.
Look at this one. This is a beauty. Bottom right. Keep an eye on this one, folks. Look at this little whopper come here. Kiss. Woo.
Yeah, it just goes long enough into the break that you think, oh, not try again.
Incredible.
Or if you're in Jimmy Croxton's shoes, you're thinking, yep, got a chance here, and then that ball gets kicked in off. And they laid out beautifully again. Look at the way the yellows are laid out here.
Yellow ball's in play.
Didn't need to move that ball. He's decided to. It's a slightly awkward position at the moment. Just needs to get hold of the cue ball, and then he should be able to plot a route out from here.
He's got a tricky little one into the centre pocket here. If he chooses to play it. Yeah, nice pot.
Just flick that near jaw. Much trickier pots than they look.
And it's interesting how Tom played that. A lot of people play that with below centre ball striking, like what we call a drag shot. Tom played it a little bit more kind of centre ball, and nicely played.
The yellow that he's just drifted by, if that goes to the bottom left-hand corner, it just helps everything out. You can get onto it into the centre pocket, but the cue ball would then be going into the reds.
Yeah, this. Yeah, quite an interesting choice you shot that, because you know with you saying that ball, you know, I think most players would have played that time.
Yeah.
Then the one he's just played, and then the one that he's nearest to now last.
He doesn't have a great angle to get onto the one in the middle of the table.
And that was the problem. You could, playing the shot that he played, you could cross-side yourself. Now you've got to leave yourself a bit longer. And this is fiddly because of the middle pockets kind of in play a little bit. I wonder if he might just screw into the red onto the side rail here. Just because you can hit the ball with authority. Yeah, I thought he'd play that. It wasn't as finicky and fiddly playing it like that.
Give yourself a guaranteed shot.
Yeah.
So a slightly trickier 8-ball than he would have wanted, but it's still comfortable enough. And no mistakes with it. Tom Cousins is starting to find full flow. Opens up a 3-frame gap.
And yeah, for the viewers at home, it might look like a strange shot that he played, screwing into the red, but every time you can hit the ball with authority and fully commit to the shot, it's just a nicer shot to play. To have to play this and use the cushion before the middle pocket was so fiddly and touchy, and you know, real horrible feel shot. You just don't want to be playing them, you know.
Yeah, and if he was being ultra critical on himself, it was more the route he took to end up in that position, but didn't give it away by not just giving himself a nice shot or a shot on the 8-ball. He would have liked a route that left him an easier last 2 balls than that, but
Jimmy Croxton
he was still good enough to get out from it.
4 frames to 1.
So 4 behind, 22 minutes 31 seconds on the clock. So approaching the halfway stage here for Jimmy Croxton. Not in the danger zone yet, but does need to be mindful. This is where he'd like to get the next frame on the board. But he doesn't look like he's going to get the chance.
No, we've had no rescue ball this time.
Well, he's got a
different type of drama this time.
He may not have made a ball, but he does end up with a decent enough finish for him in terms of Tom has absolutely nothing to go for. Not much more than he can do than just brush off the red and leave Jimmy in a very similar position.
Yeah. The unfortunate bit for Jimmy here is because he's on. Yeah, he gets the second go, if you like. He can't just play the same shot.
The problem with this shot is you have to hit the cushion after contact with that red, so it's only going to take 1 or 2 shots before you can't leave it in the same position.
Yeah.
How much damage has he done? Is there anything that goes into the left centre pocket from where he is? I think
that's a pretty fair shot from where he was. You know, he didn't have a great deal to go at.
I think the yellow by the 8-ball might just about sneak in. It's very tight.
Extension call.
I mean, he can play the red up the rail into the top left, but you don't really want to be playing that.
Yeah, when you look from the overhead, it does look like that one by the 8-ball sneaks in. But that angle tells a different story. Don't think it did go.
So just trying to put it back there.
This time he's definitely left a yellow on.
Not easy to get on a yellow afterwards, though, without really hitting it. So, again, from where Tom was, from his perspective, he's, you know, pretty much done as much as he could.
I don't think he can see the red to the top left through the gap of the black and the yellow to its right.
Extension called.
Do you know what I think? I'll bow down to your commentary expertise there. I have a feeling that he can, but I wouldn't want to pound on it.
Well, he's found a different yellow, but
Oh wow!
that white has flown in the centre pocket.
Ball in hand.
That makes Tom Cousins' choice of shot interesting then, because he refused that.
Yes.
The shot before, and it's not like Tom to turn anything down in a attacking, aggressive manner.
You say it's the cue ball.
Yellow ball's in play.
You don't want to say it's unfortunate because the pockets don't move, but for the cue ball to go in at that angle, at that pace, was pretty harsh there for Jimmy Croxton. Of course, he wasn't trying to have the cue ball go on exactly that path, but even so, it's handed a great chance to Tom Cousins, and he's already 4-1 in front.
Because I hate the word unlucky so much in 8-ball, which is why I know you checked yourself there. No, I'm joking. I think probability is a good get out way of saying it was unlucky, because it was highly unlikely he was going to go in the middle from that angle at that speed.
Well, Tom has raced through these, and that shows you how important that tactical battle at the start was.
Well, as I said, it was so interesting that he turned the shot down.
That puts him 5-1 in front. Things really starting to get away from Jimmy Croxton. Tom Cousins looks like he's in the mood to take the chances that are coming his way. Let's take another look at this shot that we were talking about, this in-off, and look how cute an angle the cue ball flies in at. From that angle, you don't expect it to. There isn't much pocket for it to go into.
But he could get to the bottom of the white though, so he is entitled to try and get the cue ball so it doesn't go towards the pocket.
So he's misjudged it, as well as it being a
not to be
unlikely,
hypercritical. I mean, I've got to go out there myself yet in a couple of days' time. So
he can get his own back.
Yeah, but from Tom's perspective, considering you know how below par he was last time he was out there a couple of weeks ago compared to this, I mean, this is like the Tom Cousins that we know.
And that break is very much like the Tom Cousins that we know. Look how, do you see how big they exploded and how quickly? This is the power we're talking about.
I mean, we've got some big breakers in the tournament, of course. Tom, Gareth, Shane Thompson,
Chris Melling, Jack Whelan. The list goes on, yeah.
There's a few, but I don't think there's any bigger than Tom Cousins.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. I've seen plenty of very good breaks, but nothing bigger. And that's what makes it so difficult when you're in Jimmy Croxton's position, when you've had your chances to try and be a bit closer in this match, is all of a sudden, as Tom didn't really want that to drop in, is that you expect Tom to get enough chances off his own break that it's hard to claw your way back into the match.
He's tried to play a really classy pull shot there, Tom, by tickling it over the middle and then using the one he's tickled over the middle to run down to the bottom of the table. You know, it was quite a... Or even leaving it for the 8. It was...
So this is now the critical shot.
Kind of got punished for his adventure there, if you like. But yeah, now going back to the breaking, you know, obviously there's a lot of control in Tom's break as well. You know, We saw John Rowe as well. It hit the break really well. But Tom seems to get an incredible amount of power with no effort at all.
Yeah, he certainly does. It always seems to keep or more often than not, keep the cue ball under really close control as well, not letting it run too loose.
Like it's almost like he's not trying to hit them hard, but he does.
Yeah.
Whereas all the other guys, even though they hit them good, they are revving up and really and trying to hit them hard. Or time them, I should say, or whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So this 8 ball for another break and clearance, slightly more awkward than he would have wanted it to be. But no mistakes, right in the heart of the pocket for Tom Cousins. It's another finish from the break. 1 frame away from the group final. He will play, or the winner of this match will play Carl Morris or Emma Cunningham, which is following this matchup. And this is the little developing shot that you were talking about,
yeah.
Nick. If that stays over the centre pocket, it makes life a lot easier for him later on in the finish.
But again, nicely played shot there. It's easy to get too low on the cue ball there and drag it over, or not low enough. Just, again, very clinical and very classy performance, I must say.
Yeah, he got off to a slow start in the opening frame, but didn't really have much to go at. But since then, he has been pretty clinical. Every time he's come to the table, just about, he has made the clearance or played to safety. Jimmy Croxton's had a couple of errors here and there, but it's been a very impressive performance from Tom Cousins.
6 frames to 1.
16 minutes, 25 seconds left to try and turn something around here for Jimmy Croxton. Needs to win at least 5 frames on the trot.
No. Oh, the helper's there.
Yeah, one of the last ball rollings again. And almost pops the cue ball in the right centre pocket again as well. He's gone very close to that a couple of times now.
Well, they call him the Joker, but I think he needs Paul Daniels to get himself out of this one. 6-1 down, 16 minutes to go.
And yellows is his
Yellow
choice.
ball's in play.
Well, he's got the gap. Just brush off the yellow. Okay, he could avoid it. So that's fine.
My first reaction was that Reds looked to open up more for him, but you can see how these all piece together really nicely for him as well. Does have the one at the top of the table that he needs to negotiate a route away from.
Well, I guess the beauty of the yellows compared to the reds there is because the yellows are surrounding the 8 ball. The 8 ball gets more and more free as the yellows disappear. Whereas the reds were nice, but give the 8 ball, I guess.
Yeah, you've always got to consider the 8 ball as well, I suppose.
Well, at this level, there's no point potting the other 7, is there?
Absolutely not. Does have to play a positional shot or 2 here still. That's the first one.
Yeah, I think he's dropped on a decent angle there just to swing it around on the natural. He's caught that a bit fat, though. Does that mean he's lost his line? It did. It did. He caught it a bit fat. Ah, Jimmy.
That was a great camera angle to see that. Went in the right-hand side of the pocket. If it goes in centre pocket, he probably hits the...
Well, he does hit the red.
Yeah.
He absolutely does hit the red. He's changed the line because he's potted the ball thick. Centre pocket, centre pocket.
This is close.
Oh. Ah.
And that one may well be Jimmy Croxton's last shot in this tournament, and this is very close to the centre pocket. Just flicks the red on the way through. As Tom gets his chance to win the match underway with a simple pot into the centre pocket. And this is laid out about as nicely as you could ever wish for to try and win a match.
Well, I'm going to call it early. He's going to take some beating in this tournament. I really do think he's going to take some beating in this event.
I was asked before the tournament to pick my winner and my dark horse, and I'm not sure you can call a 2-times world champion a dark horse. I said I don't think there is one in the tournament, but I did have a feeling that Tom would turn up and would go deep. He's certainly off to a decent start. He's played a very, very good match here. Very clinical. And with his last break, you feel like his break's up and running now as well.
Yeah. Excellent performance by Tom Cousins.
No mistakes with a simple 8-ball. Tom Cousins does get over the line with a very comfortable 7-1 victory over Jimmy Croxton. A great performance from the 2-times world champion. And he moves on to the last 16.